Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Heather with Funky Thumb Crochet, and today I'm going to do a short tutorial on how to make a magic ring. So I'm just going to use my J-hook and some basic big twist yarn. It's the classic. So alright, so what you're going to do to start your magic ring is you're going to take your third finger and your thumb, and you're going to hold the working end of your yarn, and you're going to take your two fingers and you're going to wrap it around from front to back like so. Create an X and then flip your hand over, and what I do is I secure the yarn here with my third finger just to kind of hold everything in place. Then you're going to take your hook, we're going to go under, then over, and you're going to grab that yarn, and as you're pulling it up, you're going to flip your hand, and then you're going to grab the yarn as you slip your fingers out. And that's going to leave you with a loop that looks like this. All right. Now, while you're still holding on with these two fingers right there at your hook, this piece right here is now your working yarn. And then you're going to take it and just interloop it into your fingers like you're getting ready to start crocheting. And you're going to grab a hold of your magic ring right there. Okay, this takes some practice, but I promise you, once you get it, it is so much easier than having to do the 5 chains and then slip stitching into that one little loop and then working your single crochets into that. You know, that's the old school way. It's good to try new things because sometimes you're going to find that eventually, once you get the hang of it, you're going to be wondering why you didn't start doing it a lot sooner. All right. Okay, so we have our magic ring right here in our hand, and we are ready now to make a chain 1, because normally in most patterns when it says MR or magic ring, it'll say chain 1, because you need to kind of secure that onto your hook now. And you also are building up a stitch so you can start your first round. Okay, so you're going to want to hold on to these two pieces of yarn right here, because when you start your single crochets, you're always going to want to work over these two. You're never going to want to let this one get too short. Okay, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's say your pattern calls for let's just start with 8 single crochets inside your magic ring, and we'll see how short that gets our yarn. All right, and this is where you're going to have to learn to kind of hold on to things, because you'll find that once these get pretty long, they kind of want to get away from you and they want to twist around, and you may end up losing track of which way's up and which way's down. So there's 2, and I always kind of readjust it as I go. There's 3. There's 4. There's 5. And as you can see, it's just kind of making a straight line. You're like, well, where's the ring? But we'll get to that. There's 6. There's 7. And as you can see, I'm not holding on to it, and it's getting kind of wonky. And once it starts getting too big, because when it calls for like 12 inside a magic ring, normally I'll stop at about 6 or so, and you're going to take this piece of yarn right here And this is where the magic comes in. You're going to pull it while holding onto your work. And you're going to want to make that hole smaller. That way it's a little bit more manageable, easier to hold on to, but yet you still have your two pieces here that you can work over, and this isn't going to get too short, because you're always going to want to have this to hold on to, so that way you can pull it and make it smaller. So what did I say? That was like 7, 8. I mean, we're not making anything, so I guess it really doesn't matter. And then the more you stick in there, as you can see, the hole doesn't get smaller. We've kind of came back around. All right, so to close this up, all we're going to do is hold on to your work, and you're going to pull that right there, which I may have put too many in there, because normally it won't call for anything more than 12 usually inside a pattern. But for the sake of this tutorial, I just want you to see how nicely that closes up. And it looks so much better, you know, than doing it the other way. And then most of my patterns, I'll have you slip stitch into your first single crochet, and then you just start on your next round from there. Now I usually don't work in the tail of the magic ring, and I'll show you why. Because sometimes the further you go around, sometimes just the pulling of the yarn, and I crochet tightly anyway, so I'm always tugging and pulling. You can work that magic ring a little loose sometimes. And if it just so happens to start opening up, all you do is just take that and just pull it again, and it will tighten right back up. So it's actually a very handy little kind of tool to use. And once you start working with these, you'll find that in maybe some of your older patterns where it calls for, you know, chaining the 5 and, you know, doing it the other way, you can replace that with the magic ring and just skip that whole step and then go straight into the round that tells you how many singles to put inside the ring. And, you know, I always found that those other ones were, it was hard to get that look, to get it to close all the way. So there's your magic ring right there. You know, it took me a long time to find a video, a tutorial that was easy for me to understand. So I watched all kinds. So don't just stop here. Watch other ones and find one that works for you, and then eventually you'll just find your own way of doing it, something that works for you. All right, I hope this helped.